Hello world, I'm Chris Pirillo here again for a What Would You Do? Even though I'm going to tell you what I would do, it's a new series, a daily series that all patrons get to view, and you can become a patron by heading over to patreon.com/Chris Pirillo or chrispirillo.com, which will redirect you over there. They get to see every one of them that I do. You, perhaps, as a non-patron, only get to see one a week. This one. And patrons drive this question forward. So, today, patron Brian Roberts asks, what would you do if you had to start all over again today? Well, I don't know if he means just today, as in the day, starting over the day. But I think he means if I were to ever have to start over in general. Today's landscape in terms of doing what I do is radically different than the way it used to be. And it's one of the reasons why I've felt the need to have created the Patreon campaign to be able to deliver content in a day and age where content's kind of swept aside. So much good stuff out there. So many great people. But I need to count on a base. And the patrons are my base. So I would probably... I'd hate to say it, but almost think with that type of support in mind. It'd be very difficult, though. Like, if you had no idea who I was, it would be difficult for me to say, here are the things that I want to do. Do you mind backing my project in this ongoing basis? I don't know if half of you would do that, because I would have set no precedent, right? I wouldn't have put anything out there before. I would look at the landscape and think, gosh, what could I do differently? What is everybody else doing right now, and what can I bring to the table? And then I would probably work just as hard as I work today, which is kind of sad, 18 years later, and I'm still working as hard as I was day one. But I'm always going to push the ball forward. I don't know if I would necessarily go at it on my own. Thank you, honey. My wife Diana just brought me some water. As much as I've got a small team with me today, and that team has grown and shrank over the years, ebbed and flowed, much like the tide, I would look around to see, of my friends, and I don't have many friends, and I don't even look for a lot of friends. Usually they're just colleagues, acquaintances, associates. I don't have a lot of friends. But I would probably look to the friends that I did have, and I'd probably have more friends if I didn't have a business. But I'd look to them and look at their skills and wonder if, we'd be able to complement each other. And, my endeavor, I've been with it pretty much from day one, but not everybody around me has. And I think it would be easier for me to start fresh if I had to start over again, because that's the question, what would you do? I would look around and leverage those resources differently than I might leverage them today. I don't necessarily turn to friends to fill gaps that I think might exist, but I think it would be easier to start something fresh and something new, having no history with it, with someone that I knew today. Does that make sense, right? Instead of just dragging someone in or bringing someone into an enterprise that has existed for a period of time, sometimes it's easier to start something fresh, not knowing where it's going. And so if I had to start over, I would look at all the resources at my disposal. I would think what I would do differently. And I would probably make video. As much as I make it today, I'd probably still be doing it because I have a good time with video. Even though I don't like editing video, I don't mind talking to a camera. This, by the way, I'm streaming it live on YouTube. If you didn't catch the live video feed, patrons get access to that. I'm going to go back to that model because I think it's more supportable over a period of time, but you've got to do a lot of stuff for free to get to the point where you're able to generate something from it. Independent of just creating content for the sake of creating free content. I'd be cranking out video in the best way that I knew how, and I would probably be a bit more in your face than I am now. I mean, you'd think that I'm crazy, right? But I would probably be even more so because that tends to be the type of video that gets attention. Do I need to be that way? Some days I'm a little more energetic than on other days. It kind of depends on the day, if I'm really feeling it or if I'm not feeling it. I would probably be doing the same thing and publishing prolifically and being very energetic, more energetic than I am now. I'd kick it up a notch because, I'm not going to say that I don't bring 110% of myself to the table, but I would know that it would be just as important for me to be energetic, especially on days that I don't feel energetic. Because, the camera just doesn't lie. When I'm not in a great mood. And I think I'd feel a bit more guarded about that if I were to, have to redo things, starting over from scratch. But I like to believe that, the type of insight I might be able to bring to the table would be the same, potentially from a different perspective, a different point of view. I would have a completely different set of stressors. And, in many ways, it would be kind of freeing to eschew these shackles that have bound me for so long, including having to support other people on my team, which not a lot of people know. Just because they're not present in the videos you see does not mean that they don't exist. Bob and Kat have been absolute rocks. Found a fantastic foundation for a team. But I think that, just setting up a blog or putting videos online or participating in social, it just wouldn't be enough. There's always got to be that hook. What's that one thing? And I know that some YouTubers, well, they're big into doing challenges and things like that. And I thought about it sometimes to address challenges, but I don't know. At that point, they just seem to be, almost more stressful than the things that I'm doing these days. Anyway, right? I would try to address the needs of the few people who supported me most. Find out what they wanted most and be able to address it. It's difficult to think of what it would be like to have to start over. And so I've tried to do my best to, put into place certain mechanisms such that I would never have to be in that position. Because I know it would be very, very difficult to establish a name, establish a presence, establish trust. And, for that, I would just, I'd be very resourceful, probably more resourceful than I am today, because you would need it. I would need to rely on not just my insight, but ability to connect with communities that don't already exist. Unfortunately, it's no longer as easy as, I'm just going to set up a YouTube channel. I'm going to set up a blog. I'm going to get on Twitter. Well, get in line. Everybody else is doing that too. Well, I'm going to make a Indiegogo, Kickstarter. Well, if you've got no history, if no one knows who you are, you can't do that. That wouldn't be the answer for me. So I would just crank. I would just, put myself out there and, throw my perspectives into the ring, find a core group of people and go at it full bore and, constantly be very, time is a precious thing for me. That's the one thing you can't get back. And I've said this so many times over the past few weeks, really. You can get money back. You can't get your time back. And so I guard the way that I've used my time very closely. It means a lot to me. My time is very, very valuable. So I would have to look very carefully at how I would spend my time to be able to do what it is that I'm doing today. And that is talking and sharing my opinions. But everybody does that. Anybody can do that. What's the difference between the stuff that I'm doing and the stuff that somebody else is doing? Well, 9 times out of 10, it boils down to, at this point, personality. And I've seen people do very well with YouTube, and that had nothing to do with their personality. I have some ideas in my head of the types of videos I'd like to do, for the Geek Lifestyles channel that have nothing to do with me other than my interests. And we'll see where they go or how they go, but I have a feeling, this really good feeling inside, that I'm going to find a different type. I'm not trying to replace the community. I'm trying to grow and expand the community beyond people who know about me, Chris Pirillo. I want to bring in more people. In the way I've done that in the past, I think is going to be different from the way I'm going to do it in the future. I would look into doing more produced videos than I've done to this point. I think it's easier to get more attention with well-produced videos than it is to put your personality out there, because there's so many great personalities, really. So, I don't know. It's a weird question to answer, but I don't think I would. He didn't ask me what I would change. He said, "What what would you do if you had to start over again today?" And I would do an amalgamation of the things that I've suggested. But if you're wondering specifically in relation to video, it would be produced videos, something that you're hopefully going to see more of from us at some point in the future. Less personality infused videos that speak very well to a geek core audience. Whether it speaks to everybody out there now, you can't do a video that pleases everybody. You just can't. It's never going to happen. You can't do anything that pleases everybody. You just got to keep that in mind. But don't get me going on the whole dislike thing. I'd imagine, and let me go ahead and check this. I can't confirm. Yes, nobody has disliked this video yet. Don't be the first. That's my one request. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. As I said, I do 5 of these types of videos every week. A slight deeper dive into a topic. What I would do if I had to start over again today. The other 4 are just for patrons. You can become a patron too. Head over to chrispirillo.com. The link is in this video's description. Thanks again for remembering to like, comment, share, subscribe, watch even more of our videos right now. And at this point, I'll leave you to your own devices. We'll see you later.